All right, welcome back everybody to Altcoin Daily. My name's Austin. To get the most value out of today's video, make sure you stick around to the very end. We have a lot of headlines making news that I think you should know about. I do not want you to miss anything. With that being said, like always, hit the like button and let's jump into our main story of today. This is just speculation today, but if you hold Bitcoin, this is the kind of stuff that you should keep on your radar. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. The VanEck Bitcoin ETF is set to have a decision made by tomorrow, Tuesday, on whether it'll be approved, whether it will be denied, or most likely why it again will be delayed. The SEC must decide about the VanEck Bitcoin ETF the same day that pro-crypto commissioner Hester Peirce will speak about this subject. Good news ahead. Is this VanEck SolidX Bitcoin ETF really good for the crypto space in general? What is an ETF? An exchange-traded fund, ETF, is an investment fund that is traded on an exchange in a very similar manner to stocks. The fund holds its underlying assets and divides them into shares, which can be bought and sold on an exchange. People will argue that ETFs in general are bad for the space, because with ETFs it becomes way easier for people, institutions to manipulate Bitcoin without actually having to hold any Bitcoin, which is bad for the space. But I would also argue that the VanEck SolidX Bitcoin ETF is good for the space. And let me tell you why. Number one, an ETF would expand the range of investors that are comfortable investing in Bitcoin, more institutions. Number two, a Bitcoin ETF would also be traded on a licensed, regulated securities exchange, which could bring even more investors in, as most investors aren't comfortable trading on specifically cryptocurrency exchanges. But what's specifically positive about the VanEck SolidX Bitcoin ETF is that it's physically backed, meaning that the fund's issuer will actually have to hold real Bitcoin. And the minimum investment of that Bitcoin, it's a minimum of 25 BTC equivalent, which is not suitable for the average retail investor like you and me. This is made for institutional investors. Having to hold a minimum of 25 BTC for all your clients that could potentially get involved, that could really justify why we're seeing such a race. Again, I'm not saying I can read the future. I don't know. I'm just saying that the date's tomorrow. Keep it on your radar and be ready. Be ready for anything. But why is this one different? Why is this decision deadline different? Well, this is outlined perfectly by Jake Chervinsky, who's a lawyer. Not your lawyer, but he's a lawyer that has real perspective on the legal aspects of the crypto space. And he broke it down in a pretty detailed tweet thread. So stay with me. Watch this full video and let me just share with you why this time's different. And he actually argues both cases, so we don't know. It could lead to a denial of this VanEck Bitcoin ETF as well. But he argues the opposite. He argues that because this time, it's just weird timing. He says that for that reason, it'll be denied. This is no time for ETF hopium. If the SEC doesn't delay the VanEck Bitcoin ETF proposal, the most likely result is rejection, not approval. The SEC delayed another ETF the other day, the Bitwise ETF last week. They delayed it, but they still haven't made a decision on the VanEck ETF. And here's why that's a bad sign for the ETF bulls. The Bitwise and VanEck proposals, so two separate proposals, were both published on the Federal Register on February 15th and 20th, respectively. So two different ETFs registered 5 days apart. And the Bitwise ETF, that was delayed last week, but not the VanEck ETF. Heading into blockchain week, Bitwise and VanEck were both coming up on their 90-day deadlines for the SEC to approve, deny, or delay the ETFs. The Bitwise deadline, that was last Thursday, and the VanEck deadline, it's coming up tomorrow, Tuesday. The 90-day deadline, it's an important one. If the SEC decides to delay the ETF, it has to explain its grounds for disapproval under consideration, meaning they have to explain the reasons that they're delaying it, meaning the reasons that they might deny that ETF. They have to tell us why. Last Tuesday, 2 days before the Bitwise deadline, the SEC decided to delay the ETF, but the SEC only delayed Bitwise that day. It didn't, and it still hasn't, made a decision on VanEck. That's really unusual. We haven't really seen that before. In the past, this is what typically happens. In the past, the SEC has typically bundled together all of its decisions on pending Bitcoin ETFs. Even if they're not due on the same day, they typically just bundle the close ones on the same day. For example, when the SEC delayed Bitwise and VanEck a couple months ago on their 45-day deadline, tomorrow we have the 90-day deadline, but on the 45-day deadline in March, the SEC issued both delays on the exact same day. But why not this time? Another example, similarly, last year the SEC issued denials on the same day of 3 totally different ETF proposals at the exact same time, even though the deadlines were weeks apart. What's the point? So if the SEC were planning to delay the VanEck Bitcoin ETF, the one coming up tomorrow, I would have expected the delay to be issued with Bitwise last week. If both ETFs were going to have the same decision of being delayed, it probably would have been announced on the exact same day. The fact that it wasn't on the exact same day suggests that the SEC might either approve or deny the VanEck instead. And you know what? Let's not kid ourselves, guys. On this channel, let's always try and keep it realistic. There's the strongest chance is going to be that they just delay it again. But Jake goes on to make an argument that this could be the reason that we might see a denial. A denial is far more likely than approval. I'll give you my reasons why. First, I would be shocked if the SEC approved the first ever Bitcoin ETF after 6 years of denials without taking all the time that they were allowed by law. They're allowed to delay it. Why wouldn't they take that time? Moving slowly makes the SEC appear thoughtful and thorough. VanEck's final deadline isn't until October 18th. An early decision likely means denial. That's one thought. Secondly, this is the most significant one in my opinion. Most importantly, the Bitwise delay, the one that was just delayed, order issued last Tuesday basically foreclosed any signs that they would offer early approval. The Bitwise delay order that we just saw cites several grounds for disapproval that apply to the whole Bitcoin market structure in general. So these reasons for delaying the Bitwise one, they don't just apply to Bitwise, they apply to Bitcoin and crypto, and therefore to VanEck as well. You can read this for yourself on pages 47 to 51. I'm going to leave this in the comment down below. And guys, make sure you support Jake. I don't know him personally. I just value his perspective. His link's down in the description below as well. But for example, the reasons that they delayed the Bitwise ETF. For example, the Bitwise order asked about the nature of the market for Bitcoin, the efficiency of the market, the susceptibility of the market to manipulation. All these are reasons why they chose to delay. And I mean, manipulation, same for VanEck as it is for Bitwise. If the SEC thinks that all these topics are grounds for denying Bitwise, then it certainly must view them as grounds for denying VanEck too. As a result, if VanEck were to have any chance of approval, the SEC would need to delay and ask these same questions to VanEck as well. He makes some solid points. And more, really what I want to put on your radar is this time it's different. They're not bundling them all together. This time it's different. And why is that? Why would the SEC delay Bitwise and then go on to either deny or maybe approve VanEck? Why would they be so different? Well, the two ETFs are actually quite different. Here's how. For example, they calculate price differently. Bitwise would use public exchanges, while VanEck would use OTC markets. Maybe the SEC is willing to consider one, but not the other. What do you think? I mean, in my mind, it would seem to me like OTC markets would be a little more stable. So to me, that would be a reason why we might see an approval of the VanEck ETF. That's me. To be fair, the fact that the SEC delayed Bitwise and stayed silent on the VanEck could mean nothing at all. So again, even smartest guys in the room, we're all just speculating here. Let's wrap this up. I still think that a delay is the most likely result. VanEck should have a chance to address the SEC's grounds for disapproval, just like Bitwise does. And I think the VanEck proposal is every bit as worthy as the SEC's consideration. So after all that, after all Jake's perspective, he finishes up by saying, so heading into Monday, here's how I view the probabilities. Still a 75% chance for a delay, 24.9% of a denial, and a 0.01% of approval. That's what Jake thinks. What's your take on this? Do you have an opinion on this? If you do, leave me a comment down below. Maybe a yes, maybe a no. Maybe you're just saying, hey, leave me a comment down below. But just to wrap this up, before we get to our 3 other pieces of news today, that being said, as soon as we get any yay or nay from the SEC, I'll let you know. So if you haven't already and you hold Bitcoin or you hold cryptocurrency, make sure you subscribe to this channel. You do not want to miss one of our daily videos. But let's get to the news. The Winklevoss twins doubled down on Bitcoin is gold 2.0 narrative. In a recent tweet, Tyler Winklevoss, one of the Winklevi twins and the chief executive of Gemini, noted that he sees Bitcoin as gold 2.0. We've heard this before. He states that the cryptocurrency matches, so the cryptocurrency Bitcoin matches or beats gold across the board. As he said in a previous interview, the only thing that gold has, or BTC, is a 3,000-year head start. We talked about this before. This comparison has been made several times. But what I want to bring to you today, let's get this. But what I want to bring you today is a little chart. This, if you're ever wondering how to talk to your friends about why Bitcoin is the digital gold, I'm going to leave this down below. Just some perspective for you. Next piece of news. You can now send and receive Bitcoin on WhatsApp. Do any of you use WhatsApp? I personally don't, but I know they have a lot of daily active users. WhatsApp users can now send and receive Bitcoin and Litecoin via a popular messaging platform thanks to Lite.im bot. The announcement is the latest attempt to simplify the cryptocurrency transaction process, bringing virtual currencies closer to the everyday person. Here's the exact tweet. We are happy to announce that from today you can send and receive Bitcoin and Litecoin on WhatsApp. I guess the significance here is it's just going to be a hell of a lot easier for people that don't even have a clue what Bitcoin is. Now it's an option if they download this little bot. Pretty cool. Next thing, before we get to some BITFINEX news, something that I want to put on your radar is the cryptomerch.com. This is not a sponsored review. I'm not being paid to say any of this. But the cryptomerch.com store, they recently sent myself and my brother each a hoodie and each a sweater. And I just want to vet them for you. So if you're looking for a gift or something for yourself, it's another option. My brother and I have a dark blue, one of these Bitcoin hoodies. And let's see if we go to men's Bitcoin. This one right here, just a standard sweater, Bitcoin yellow. The reason that I kind of like these is, I mean, there's a ton of crypto merch sites out there, but what I liked about this one is everything was sort of understated. Usually with other Bitcoin crypto clothing lines, everything is pretty gaudy, pretty in your face. These, I would wear any of these out in public, out to parties in LA. As far as quality goes, I mean, standard quality that you'd buy any hoodie. I mean, just a regular hoodie, but it's with cool Bitcoin descriptions and logos. So I'll leave it down below if you want to do it, check it out. Not a paid review, just something I want to put on your radar. Next piece of news. BITFINEX announces Leo token distribution after 1 billion private investment. So it's getting distributed. And this was the exact tweet. BITFINEX is proud to announce the coming distribution of their token, Eunice said Leo, long name. And this is equivalent to, Binance's BNB coin. Let's read this. And it seems like BITFINEX very much has emulated Binance's BNB. From the benefits offered by Eunice said Leo token, or just by BITFINEX's Leo token, to the buyback and burn policy. So buyback and burn policy, very similar to BNB. Holders of the token will benefit from reduced fees. So if you hold this Leo token and you trade on BITFINEX exchange, Holders of the token will benefit from reduced fees across pretty much the whole BitFinex and wider iFinex ecosystem. It is likely that holders will also get preferential treatment in any future token sales held through a mooted iFinex initial exchange offering, IEO platforms, again, a la Binance. I mean, they probably wish that they could get it up just as high as Binance coin. They definitely wish that. So just be prepared to see this in the ecosystem, to see this on BitFinex if you trade on BitFinex. Anyway, I digress. That's the video for today. Make sure you give us a follow on Twitter and subscribe on this channel. We drop a video every single day. My name's Austin. I'll see you tomorrow.